Welcome everyone. I'm Sheri DeMaris, and Sheldon and Ganat are very good friends of mine, and I'm so happy to be here. I live in the Pennsylvania area. I've studied and practiced macrobiotics for about 36 years. How I got into it, was I was just working at a health food store and took a bunch of cooking classes, and at the time, Philadelphia was booming. They had a center, and Denny Waxman was there and had studied with Michio Kushi, and so many different people came through, speakers, and so I was really fortunate. And then I went up to the Kushi Institute and did all the levels. And then I taught at the Kushi Institute in Amsterdam every summer. So I just found it to be a passion of mine because it gives hope for many, many people that maybe are diagnosed and told that they don't have much longer to live, or they're stuck with pain or discomfort or some sort of medical issue. And also, you know, just for the regular person day to day, it just helps with your mood and your outlook and your energy level. So basically, when I started, you know, when I was about 26 years old and traveled to summer conferences and learned the whole technique of cooking, I really couldn't cook at all when I started. I didn't know how to boil water. I never knew how to make pasta. I was my mother was never a cook. She was a terrible cook. So I know how hard it is for people. I worked as a regular guidance counselor in a public school for like 26 years, and I taught kids cooking. They go into the garden, pick vegetables, and we did a garden to plate program, and we got a lot of funding for it. So it was like 25 kids in 5 kitchens, and I'd show them one dish a week, and they'd go imitate that dish. And so we created a cookbook from it, and after a while, you know, thousands of recipes, because we did it over like 9 years. Publisher called me and wanted to publish it. So I created this book, Macro Magic, for kids and parents. But as it turns out, it's more of a book for adults to get started cooking, because it's all about knowing each ingredient in macrobiotics and then understanding what to order when you travel or how to stock your kitchen. I now use it as a tool when I teach classes online. So if you visit my website, kissyourplate.com, you can see photos of all the dishes and articles and videos that we made with all the dishes. And then also, I run a TV show. It's called Macro Magic, after the book, and it's on RVN TV. And this week we just interviewed Colin Campbell. I have various guests, either chefs or book authors or doctors, talking about eating well, especially during this pandemic. And on Thursday nights, I do what Ganat does. I run Zoom meetings with some of these speakers. So this week we have Bill Tara on, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, because we're Zooming him in from England. And in 2 weeks, we'll have Lauren Kramer, we have Tom Monty, we have various teachers, and it's an hour-long lecture or slide presentation, and then a half hour for question and answer. So you're all welcome to join that. You just visit my website to sign up. There is a cost, so you can just log in and it guides you through how to sign up. So today I thought I'd show you some quick, easy springtime, summertime dishes with greens, because greens are so important for your health. And we have these like really big greens, collard greens. These are really great for your lungs, for your red blood cells. They provide lots of minerals. They always say if you have bone problems, to have a lot of greens and beans, you know, maybe saute some white beans with cabbage or broccoli rabe. But you need those minerals. And that's what helps make your blood mineral rich, and then that builds your bones. When you drink a lot of soda, a lot of carbonated fruit juices, wine, your blood gets very acidic, and it steals what it needs, the calcium from your bones. So we're going to use collard greens. This recipe is in my book, and you can, Gannat has the website if you're interested in the book. There's a picture of the green rolls we're going to make. And when they have this little icon, that means I have a DVD that goes with the book. There's a DVD on how, you know, you can watch how to make them. So these are called.
So,
yes.
Sheri, I'll just interrupt you. If we don't have collard greens, can
Yes.
we use cabbage?
Yes, yes, very good question. So for all these recipes, you can substitute whatever greens you want. I have really nice mustard greens in the garden now, and I was worried that I wouldn't find collard greens, so I was going to substitute mustard greens for them. I'm going to show you 3 green rolls today. One with collard greens, and the other one with lettuce. Some nice romaine lettuce from my garden. And the third one with Chinese or Napa cabbage. Now this is probably the nicest vegetable to eat in the summer because it's watery. When you're in the hot sun, you have to remember 2 things. Don't cook your food so long on the stove because it's creating heat in your body. So when you have heat in your body and you're going out in the hot sun, that's where a lot of macrobiotic people make mistakes. They make brown rice for a really long time, then they cook their beans and they eat their seaweed, and they just want to pass out in the hot sun. So you want light and refreshing, especially out in Israel, light and refreshing. You want lots of watery vegetables. And sometimes I don't cook in the hot summer. You could just chop this up real thin, toss it with noodles and salads, and you can make some Thai, like a nice Thai noodle dish where everything is raw, and you just instantly cook the Thai noodles for 1 or 2 minutes. That's less cooking time. And then in the winter, you want the heat, right, to stay warm. So this is all really nice and watery, and this is one of my favorite vegetables in the summer. Okay, so we're going to make the collard greens first. So we're going to just use 2 of these because they're so big. So I'm going to show you how big they are. They're like monster. And you don't want to put them in raw. You got to cook them. So we're first going to take off the stems. Just cut off the ends of the stems. And we don't want to waste any of the vegetable. So we're going to slice the stems in just little pieces. Like this. So we're going to blanch these first. So I have a pot of water up to boil on my stove. And I'm going to put in a pinch of sea salt into the pan. You can see the water. You always want to put sea salt, just a pinch of sea salt in when you're blanching vegetables. It helps bring the color out. It helps keep the water mineralized. And I want to talk about sea salt. You want to use good quality sea salt. Good quality sea salt should be white. So too many times people use gray sea salt. Gray sea salt is very contracting to the body. They end up with health problems, especially with tooth problems. You don't want Himalayan salt. You don't want Celtic salt. You don't want gray sea salt. You want white salt. And the best kind of white salt we recommend is SI salt. You can go to the website www.sisalt.com and get it when we studied macrobiotics with Michio Kushi, he would say that the salt should taste sweet. It should taste light, not real heavy duty salty. We don't use commercial salt at all because it's got a lot of chemicals to make it pour when it rains. It's not really from the ocean. It's just got a lot of additives and things. And now, sadly enough, because the oceans are getting so polluted, they are finding a lot of plastics and pollution in the sea salt. So SI salt's pretty clean. It's from Mexico, but they say it's super clean. So we're gonna put a pinch in the boiling water. And we're gonna add our stems first, just to soften them up, because we'll put those inside the green rolls. You don't wanna waste any part of the vegetable because they're all great for you. And you get this skimmer. This is a vegetable skimmer. And this allows you to pull your vegetables out of the water. If you can't find this, this is a good one to use too. Just anything, or a slotted spoon. And you want to cook your vegetables until they're bright, bright green. They're almost like fluorescent. So we're going to give a little bit of time for those stems. And in the meantime, I'm just going to show you the other ingredients in this green roll. So we're going to cut a carrot on a diagonal. Let me just put this here. So you cut them into matchsticks. So I first cut them, can you see, on a diagonal, and then I'm going to slice this lengthwise. So that's called matchsticks. We're going to put some of that inside our green rolls. We're also going to put some sauerkraut, which I made homemade, but you can get it anywhere. Just make sure it's made from good quality sea salt. And I'm going to put some roasted chopped pumpkin seeds. And I'm sorry, the carrot goes in the other dish. Rutabaga is in this one. So these are slices of rutabaga. I left the skin on, and I sliced them as well into matchsticks. So to take out my vegetables, I always like to put a mat on top of a plate, and that lets it drain. Now my plates are a little beveled, so you might want to put this over a bowl. And that way the water drains off. I was teaching a class on Wednesday, and the girl lives in Florida, and she says, my green rolls are like so soaking wet. I said, well, you have to drain them. If you just take it off and put it in the plate, they sit in water. So you've got to drain them a little bit, let them. So we're taking the stems out. And as you can see, they're going to cool off a little bit, and then we're going to put the leaves in. Now you want enough water in your pan to cover these leaves. You don't want to be jamming the leaves into a tiny little pot of water. That's why I brought such a big pot of water up for boil. So we're going to do 2 leaves in the pan. Now you want to make sure your vegetables, as much as possible, are organic. There's a list of Dirty Dozen vegetables that you definitely should not buy. Strawberries being one of them. They spray strawberries really heavily. In fact, people who spray strawberries have to wear masks and stuff. And corn, you want to make sure you don't eat GMO corn. So there are certain vegetables that you have to pretty much get organic. Some other vegetables like watercress grows in so much water, doesn't really, you know, if the pesticides don't really affect it as much. But as much as possible, try to grow your own garden or buy organic vegetables. So we're going to take our collard greens out. You want to make sure that, again, they're bright, bright green. They're not cooked to death. You know, in the South here, they make collard greens and they cook them with lard and they cook them for hours and hours and hours until they're like mush. So with these collard greens, you want to make sure you take them out when they're bright, bright green, and then that gives you that brightness. You know, that shows through your skin when you eat them. So now you'll see how bright they are? You just cook them until they're soft to their limp, but they're not cooked to death. So we're gonna let those cool a little bit. Let's put them out on the mat. And then we're gonna put our rutabaga in the water. I have this macrobiotic friend, his name is Gabor, and he talks about how the water should kiss the vegetable. So vegetables are really like captured sunshine. So if you're eating too many frozen foods or canned foods, you're gonna feel dark and depressed a lot. If you're eating a lot of whole grains, beans, vegetables, sea vegetables, and cooking them just right, you're going to feel bright. I always say, you know, macrobiotic people, you can tell if they're eating well, their face looks like a flashlight. So they're bright, they're happy, they're more upbeat, they're not feeling like they're closed in or angry or depressed, because you're actually capturing the rain and the sunshine in that vegetable. And when you're cooking it until it's bright colored, you're feeling that way, which is wonderful. And he said the key to good cooking is to know, you know, not to put the fire up so high. Keep it at a medium, be gentle with the vegetables. And by the way, vegetables have an energy in them where they want to help, they feel honored to be chosen and eaten by you, because then they become your blood, they become your organs. It sort of elevates their consciousness, where if you eat animals, they actually are sentient. They know that their life wants to continue. They're angry about being killed, and you take in all that energy when you eat them. So it's a whole different, you know, in macrobiotics, we study energy more than, you know, the nutrition or the weight of the food. We look at the energy of the food. Is the energy contracting? Is it expanding? Is it bright? Is it dark? And by eating like fresh vegetables, you're capturing that really positive energy that you want. So the rutabagas take a little bit of time because they're hard. Rutabaga is more of a winter type vegetable. If you're going to pickle this, you want to cut it super thin and, you know, put it in a salt brine or shoyu. These are really nice shoyu pickles. They make shoyu pickles. And the pumpkin seeds we just roasted, you can roast them on a cookie sheet in the oven, or you can heat up a cast iron frying pan and swish them around till they pop. And then we chopped them real thin. And the sauerkraut I made last week, I just took 1 head of cabbage and you massage 1 tablespoon of sea salt in there and you crunch it. And then I have a nice crock. You put it in the crock for about 14 days. Homemade pickles are so important now with the pandemic. I had Tom Monty on the Zoom lecture and actually Colin Campbell on the TV show, both saying that you have to make sure that you get pickles every day because it prevents you from getting if you get the virus, it's not as severe. Probiotics are the most important thing because your lung is related to your intestine. The more healthy probiotics you have in your intestines, the healthier your lungs will be. And this virus really hits your lungs really hard. So homemade pickles. Now, this one is homemade, and then this one, real pickles we like because they're made with some good quality sea salts. Whole Foods usually carries these. Some Whole Foods don't, but you can also order it from the company. It's called Real Pickles. And they have, this is kimchi. They have beets, pickled beets. They have pickled carrots. I found pickled cute turnips. So they have a real big selection. But when you buy store-bought pickles, they're usually pasteurized. They have to pasteurize them. So if you learn to make homemade pickles, it's so much better. So we're going to
Hey, Sheri, we have a pickle class.
Yes.
Sheri?
Yes.
Sanai is teaching a pickle class at the end of today.
Yes, that's
at
great.
7 p.m. Israel time.
Yes, I saw that. It's nice. So I blanched the rutabagas. They're soft now. I want to make sure they're soft because in this recipe, if they're hard, you don't want to crunch down on them too hard. And turn my water down. Okay, so we're ready to roll. And we've got the collard greens. We're going to take a sushi mat. If you don't have a sushi mat, you can try rolling them by hand. It's just as easy. And they smell so good, like it smells. So you're going to take one leaf and put it one way, and then another leaf and put it the other way. So you're overlapping them. And then you want to put your ingredients about 1 inch on the bottom. So we have our rutabagas. We're going to put those in. We have our sauerkraut. Now these are great because you can travel with these. It's a great way to get your greens in. And you can bring them to picnics. You can take them to the beach. You can, pack them in a lunchbox. So I'm using, this is Eden brown mustard. So I'm just going to spread that across. And then I'm going to put the pumpkin seeds. Now you can put, what's beautiful in here is purple sauerkraut, instead of the yellow. That makes it like really spark. So when I'm ready to roll, I'm going to take my sushi mat and roll it over the filling, but I'm going to keep the green roll separate from the sushi mat. If I put the sushi mat in, I'm going to roll the sushi mat into the green roll. So I'm rolling the sushi mat away, and then with my fingers, I'm rolling the green roll. So if you can see this, I'm rolling backwards on the mat, and I'm rolling forward on the green roll. And you want to make it as tight as you can. This is how to make a sushi roll too. So it's real tight. And then I'm going to put it back in the mat. And I'm going to make it as tight as I can, just rolling on the outside. And I'm going to squeeze it. So you can squeeze it into, just get all the liquid out. This is the most important part, because if you don't do this part, you're going to cut them and they're going to fall apart. And then you can put a rubber band around this and store it in the refrigerator if you want, or you can unwrap it and get it ready to serve. See, I rolled it so tight you can see the ridges of the sushi mat. That's how tight you want it. So I'm going to take my knife, just cut off the ends. You can always use those as decoration or whatever. And then cut them, cut the rolls. So you can either cut straight across like that, or you can cut on an angle, which is pretty, like this. And then you just arrange them on your plate for your guests, however you like to. And they're so good. They're so delicious. And, you know, with the seasonings, they're so nice. You can see. So they're, you know, they've got the pumpkin seed crunch, they've got the sauerkraut, they've got the mustard, you know, just a lot of, when you cook, you want to make your food dynamic, many different flavors. You just don't want like greens and rutabaga. You want some salty, you want some pungent, you know, that makes the dish really nice. Okay, any questions, or do you want to take questions at the end, or?
As you like. If anyone has questions, just go ahead and type them into the chat. Meanwhile, we can keep going.
Okay, so that's our first dish,
Beautiful.
green rolls. And now we're gonna make a second green roll that's really fun, that I really like. And that's with Chinese cabbage, the Napa cabbage. Let me just clean up my board. And we're gonna have some carrots, the matchstick carrots. Oh, and I forgot to tell you that you can put the stems inside the green roll. We forgot to do that. So I'm going to turn my water back up to boil. Now make sure not to use that greens water for soup or anything. A lot of macrobiotic people do that, and it makes your cooking very young. You just want to always start with, you know, water for your soup. So we're going to take these greens, and because they're smaller than the collard greens, we're going to use more of them. Got 4 of them. And we're going to alternate them on a mat again. First, we have to blanch them. The third roll I'm going to show you is with lettuce. You don't have to blanch lettuce, but these you sort of have to blanch. So first we're going to put our mat down to blanch them. And we're going to put in 2 at a time because they're sort of big. Now these rolls, we're going to use our matchstick carrots that we just cut. And I like to do peanuts. You know, I like to eat a lot of peanuts, so instead of like eating them, it's better to like cook with them, right? You can sprinkle them on like nice Thai salads and stuff. So we're going to use chopped peanuts. These are just roasted, unsalted peanuts that I chopped. I'm going to use kimchi. Now, I didn't make any homemade kimchi, but I'm using the real pickled kimchi.
Sheri,
And
what do you do with the carrots that you matchsticked?
I'm going to blanch them.
Okay.
And then here's the matchstick carrot. So we're going to put the Chinese cabbage, the carrots, the kimchi, and chopped peanuts. We're going to take out our greens. Again, you will love these. You could just make plain cabbage rolls and put a little umeboshi in them. I mean, if you don't have time to put all the fillings. You could put, be as creative as you want. You could put chopped daikon, matchstick daikon in there. You can put, like I said, the purple cabbage makes it really pretty inside. You can put all different, roasted sunflower seeds, chopped walnuts, chopped pecans, chopped roasted almonds. We tend not to recommend, as macrobiotic counselors, we don't recommend roasting walnuts and pecans so much anymore. We just say they're okay to have raw, but you do want to roast your almonds still. And any kind of nut or seed inside, sesame seeds are nice. And you can make, a whole tray of them with different fillings and then serve them at a party. But I'm telling you, if there's nothing else that you snack on, these are probably the best for you because they have the good minerals and the water, and they make you feel good, especially when you're traveling. If you're eating a lot of dried crackers and snacks, gummy snacks when you're driving or when you're traveling, you're feeling like, wah. And if you can eat something, even if you blanch daikon sticks and bring hummus, it's a nice watery feeling, and it's not so drying and so tightening as just packaged snacks.
So walnuts and what else? Walnuts and what else to eat raw? To eat unroasted?
Oh, walnuts and pecans are fine unroasted.
Pecans. Oh,
yeah.
Good.
So almonds, you really need to roast. Okay, so these are the Chinese cabbage leaves cooling on a mat. And then we're going to put our carrot sticks in. Now again, we're looking, it's summertime, it's hot. We're looking for that crunch. A lot of macrobiotic dishes miss the crunch. And then you're craving, crackers and cookies and chips and stuff. So you got to make your food sometimes crunchy. So we're going to take our mat again and lay out our greens. And we want to do them, again, opposite each other. So I lay one way and lay the other one the other way. And that way, it sort of makes the base for the roll. Okay. I'm going to take my carrots out now because we want it crunchy. So we have our carrots. We have our kimchi. We have our roasted peanuts. So I'm just going to layer those inside, just like you would a sushi. Now again, you think when you make a roll, you want something salty, right? Because if you're just eating like plain greens, it's not going to be. So for this recipe, we have the kimchi that's salty. But if I didn't have the kimchi, I'd put like umeboshi, or maybe other sauerkraut, purple sauerkraut or something. So you need that salt. And then the nuts make it rich. So you're just not doing like salty and watery. You're adding a little bit more richness. So these are peanuts. This is probably my favorite dish. And you can put other things in here. You can put cucumber, daikon, whatever. So we're going to roll it again. We roll the green over the top and we roll the mat back as we're rolling. And you want to roll as tight as you can. Then you have your roll. And you want to wrap the roll around very tightly and then squeeze the water out. If you don't do that part, you're not going to get a tight enough roll. And then you have your roll. So we're going to wipe off the mat. And again, we can cut them in all different ways. Cut them across or diagonal. And you see how beautiful they look. And again, you can put them on a plate. These are so nice. You know, you can also put, like, and I'm going to show you next, some chickpea filling or bean filling in there too. It doesn't always have to be nuts. And the ends sometimes fall apart, so you don't want to use those. They're just so beautiful to look at. Everybody see them. Okay. Yeah, any questions on those?
Clara, do you want to ask a question? Clara asks, why is cooking the veggies in the same water not yang, yet using it for soup is?
Because you're drinking it. So all that essence is coming into, you know, when you're just blanching it, it's going out of the vegetable. But when you're drinking it, you're taking it in.
Someone else asks, why do we need to roast almonds?
Why do we need to roast almonds? They're just harder, and they're harder to digest if you don't roast them. You know, you can buy nice blanched white almonds with the skins off. You can sprinkle them on salads. They're already blanched, so you don't have to worry about doing anything with them. And you can make nice almond cream.
Do you know anything, Sheri?
What's that?
Sheri, do you know anything about the process used to blanch those almonds?
No, in a factory, no. I usually buy them organic though. Make sure that they're not sprayed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to go to our next dish, and I want to show you how to wrap lettuce. But I thought it would be even more fun to show you how to make a Vietnamese spring roll. So it's in my book, and these are really great for kids. I used to make these all the time at school. It was really funny. I did a book signing at Whole Foods one time, and this mother came up to me and she said, you know, ever since you taught my son this, he makes me go to Whole Foods and buy all the ingredients every Sunday. So we've been eating, and I've lost all this weight by eating these spring rolls. So these are called cold vegetarian spring rolls in my book. There's a picture of them, a large picture of them. And what's nice is it's definitely another summertime dish. Very easy to make. They keep in the refrigerator for about a day. So, you know, you can make a bunch of them. My niece and I run a bunch of fundraiser parties where we have dinners and we give all the money to charity. And I'll have her make like 200 of these for my guests. And she'll just bring them over, and, you know, we can keep them overnight and serve them the next day. They're just really nice. So in addition to lettuce on the outside, we use rice wrappers. Now these rice wrappers you could get at Whole Foods, or, you know, if you buy them at Japanese stores or whatever, or Chinese stores, just read the ingredients and just make sure that you got the little sticker that says non-GMO. These have rice flour, tapioca flour, water, and salt. And there's other ones with brown rice flour and cassava. Basically, they're just really simple wrappers that come very clear. You'll see this pattern on them. And you don't cook these. You just put water on them and they get soft, and it's like a noodle. So today we're going to use these, and then we're going to wrap some vegetables in them. So I have you'll need a dish, like a pie dish, to sort of soak them in, and water, which I have. So you're gonna put, you can use cool water or warm water. And you put that in the bottom of your dish. And just before we do that, I'm going to show you the ingredients in the wrap today. So you can put anything you want. In the cookbook I have Chinese cabbage, chopped fine, lettuces. If you're making these wraps in a colder environment, you can saute the vegetables first, like red pepper and carrots and you know, some greens, and make a nice saute to put in it. But because, again, it's summer, we're going to put lettuce. This is nice romaine lettuce from my garden. We're going to put some sprouts. These are pea sprouts. We're going to put some cilantro. I just love cilantro. I can't eat it enough, but some people don't like it, so you want to make sure that you like it. This is cilantro. And some cucumbers that we chopped similar to the carrots. And we're going to put a little bit of lime in there. And we're going to put some cooked chickpeas. Now, what I tell my students when in cooking class, we learn how to pressure cook chickpeas. You have to soak them overnight and put them in a pressure cooker and cook them with a little piece of kombu for 50 minutes. But if you don't have time, you can use canned beans, but I would only recommend Eden canned beans or Westbury canned beans because they're the only two beans without BPAs in the can. All the rest have chemicals in the can to preserve it. So these are our ingredients. We're going to take our rice paper. Now, when you soak this, you only want to soak it until this design disappears. It's going to turn super thin and sticky. So you want to get a plate. Don't just put it on your cutting board because it'll stick to your cutting board. You want to get a plate to roll it in. This has a little bit of water. So we're putting it, we're just wetting it in the pie pan. Here's my water. And you can use cold or warm water. It says warm water on the package, but you're just soaking it very quickly, and you're rubbing your fingers on it until the design disappears. And as soon as the design...
Can you move the camera down just a bit?
Yes. As soon as the design disappears, you want to take it out. So it's a little still stiff, but don't soak it for too long. And then you put it on your plate. And then you're going to put your fillings in it. You put a piece of lettuce. I'm just going to rip this in half because you got to fold it. And put some sprouts, some cucumber. Now, I like, this is just the recipe that I made up today. I love avocados, so we're going to put some chickpeas in there. You could put tofu. There's a recipe in my book for how to marinate the tofu. And then you can put some avocado. And then we said we're going to put a little bit of lime juice on top. And we're going to put some cilantro. So just make sure the ingredients all sit sort of in the middle of the rice paper. Then you're going to take the edge, the bottom edge, and you're going to fold it over like an envelope. And then you're going to fold each side like you're closing an envelope. And then you're going to roll it as tight as you can. And this is what it looks like. So you'll see like the lettuce sort of covers the inside. And then you're going to get a nice pretty plate. And use your knife. And these are so wonderful, just so wonderful, you'll see. You can lay them on the plate like this. So they're so easy to eat. They'll stay in the fridge if you don't cut them for about a day. The rice wrapper stays fine if you keep it in like a Tupperware or whatever. So we're going to make a nice little dip for these. And that's in my cookbook as well. You're going to get a little, just a little bowl. And for the recipe, it says 2 cups, or, you know, I made a lot. So it says 1 cup of shoyu. We're only going to use like 1 tablespoon. So about 1 tablespoon. And by the way, we use shoyu more than tamari. If you're gluten intolerant, maybe tamari, but use less. Tamari's tons more saltier. So you don't want to put too much salt in your diet. You get too tight. And then about a ½ tablespoon of brown rice vinegar. And about ½ tablespoon of water. This is just a small dip. And about 2 teaspoons of toasted sesame oil. That's going to give it like sort of that Asian feel. And we're going to put some ginger. This is freshly grated ginger. We just squeeze out the juice. Put that in. And then we're going to add some toasted sesame seeds on top. This is a nice dip that you can, pour in a nice little container. And you serve next to your spring rolls.
Bravo.
Yeah. So it's really, and you could put whatever you want in here. You can put, you don't have to put chickpeas. Like I said, you could put marinated tofu. You could just leave vegetables in there. You could stir fry vegetables in there. You could put tempeh. You could put lentils. You can really be creative as you like. But again, it's another summertime, crunchy, really nice, refreshing dish. So, any questions? Do you want to
Someone is asking, yeah, we're a little over. Someone is asking, is there any salty taste in that lettuce roll?
No, because we use the dipping sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can make a creamy dipping sauce like with tahini and mustard. I love that, or white miso. But we leave the salt out because we put the dipping there. But you can put something salty in there too. You can put a little umeboshi in there. Be as creative as you want. When I first learned macrobiotics, I was so afraid to create my own recipes. I always thought there was some secret formula and I had to, go by everyone's recipe very specifically. But when I teach my classes, I really encourage my students to learn from me the base of cooking, what ingredient does what, and then create your own style. Create what you're craving. As kids, we always knew what we craved. We open up the refrigerator on a hot summer day and we'd say, oh, I want a watermelon or I want a cucumber. And now we're like, oh, we have to eat our seaweed and we have to eat our brown rice. And you forget that your body has so much wisdom. It will tell you what it needs to get better.
Well, Sheri, bravo.
Did you say that
Really,
the
Eden mustard or Eden canned beans? Yes.
No, are they also safe like the West Spray?
Eden canned beans and West Spray canned beans are
Yes,
EPA free.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay then, Sheri.
Yeah, are we okay with time, or you're going to move to the next class?
Yeah, I think we're about ready to move on. So I will thank you. It was a lovely class. Very, very nicely done. Yeah, thank you so much.